Ladies and gentlemen, hey, hi, how you doing? Welcome back to the channel. Thank you so much for stopping by. Warzone recently finally addressed one of the larger controversies that's been going on in game over the past few weeks, and that is their playlist cycle and their playlist rotation. Specifically when it comes to casual battle royale versus normal battle royale. This has been a very hot topic, at least in the vocal majority of the player base, the online community here, because of course a few weeks ago they completely deleted solos from the game and replaced it with battle royale casual solos, which had everyone up in arms who isn't a direct casual fan, right? Recently they put out some data talking about how much of a success Warzone solos casual was and what that means going forward. And there are some concerns here, some pretty big concerns in my opinion. There are some red flags being raised here that hopefully won't mean unfortunate things for the future, but I also wouldn't be that surprised if that's the route they take. So we covered this a few days back because they actually included this in their season 4 reloaded blog post, like their whole announcement for all the content coming with that. They gave us a whole novel about the Warzone solo playlist update, detailing how standard solos in Warzone has been really lackluster for a while now. It wasn't popular in years past. I have to imagine that probably has to do some with Urzikstan just not really being a great flowing map for solo gameplay. It was really slow. And then this year they said solos really took a hit in BO6 Warzone as well, and so that's why they removed it. They replaced it with casual solo. Then they go on to explain that they've seen 3 times the players jump into casual solos compared to standard solos. They also said the queue times were better, the ping stability was better, other matchmaking metrics saw improvements, and the mode was popular with new players than also players who had already been on the game. This, though, in my opinion, is kind of skewed data. For one, they don't give us anything that's actually objective here. This is just them saying, hey, this is what we saw. You have to believe us or you have to take our word for it because we're just saying this is the reality. We don't actually get to see any of those real player numbers of, oh, this many people were in solo beforehand, this many people are in casual solo now, right? So in and of itself, it's a weird way to present data because they're just saying, this is what we got in the back end. No, you're not allowed to see it. This is what happened. So that's a little bit weird in and of itself. But now they have recognized that, yes, there is a vocal majority, but a large player base minority out there that wants normal solos in the game. And I've always said that I think casual gameplay for Battle Royale, maybe even Resurgence here that's coming up with Reloaded as well, is objectively a good thing. I just don't think it should come at the expense of the standard gameplay experience as well. And that's sort of what they've done here a few times, unfortunately. But with this, they're now going to test out solos in the game and casual solos in the game to see what the player base is split like over the course of the next little while here. And I imagine we'll talk about it in a few weeks down the road when they give us more details on what their plan of action is going forward, but they clearly are trying to emphasize solos a lot here. And before we get into a further conversation about the concerns just with their approach and their description of what's going on now with the playlist updates, there is also the general concern about the emphasis on casual as well. We've seen this sort of impact other games too, like Fortnite, for instance. Modern Warzone sort of talked about this general sentiment I saw going around a lot on social media, saying soon it almost seems like regular Warzone games are going to be filled with bots regardless, and the only way to play a lobby against real people is going to be in ranked play. So theorizing that because they continue to see success with casual quads and then recently casual solos, they're going to eventually just do away with normal battle royale and just have everything be casual, which I think would be a really big concern. Because again, I think they're getting a lot of this information from a somewhat skewed standpoint. And I don't know about you guys, but there are times where yes, casual could be an enticing experience, especially if you're trying to play with people who maybe are new to COD or are not very good. You want to give them that nice little entry barrier, like that friendly welcome to the game, rather than throwing them into the blender because you're a decent player and skill-based matchmaking is going to destroy your lobby, right? Or if you're trying to go for camos in a more casual sense, literally in the name, right? Like there is a place for it for sure, undoubtedly. No one's arguing that. But like I said earlier, at the expense of the standard gameplay experience, that's where you got to tread lightly, in my opinion. And so far, they've done that in a way that has only seen a negative reaction online, despite the decently positive reaction with the general player base, according to their data, right? With this, though, casual as an experience, yes, it's had success because it has a place for the players who don't want to deal with the craziness of a normal match. They want a chill experience to have. How many people, though, you have to consider, are maybe going to the casual experience, whether it's casual quads or recently casual solos, because of what the gameplay is forced to be like in standard games, because Call of Duty won't address things. Skill-based matchmaking, they'll never really change. It's an algorithm they've had forever. It's never going to go away. It's really never going away in gaming at all, because clearly publishers and developers alike have found success using skill-based matchmaking when it comes to retention. Like, if it wasn't something that churned out tons of money, it wouldn't exist, right? But clearly it does for them, and so it's not going anywhere. But we all know skill-based is cranked, and when you are trying to have a more chill experience, use off-meta guns, play with a group of players that's not all of equal skill level, you do that in a normal game, it's probably going to lessen the experience for the vast majority of the party. It's probably going to lessen your experience as well. If you shift that to casual, those same problems aren't there. So how many people, even though they don't really want to fight bots necessarily, are looking more at casual because they can actually play the game and enjoy things outright, because the standard gameplay is so strict with skill-based? Also, the cheating situation, this maybe even more so. How many people are jumping into casual because, yes, there still are cheaters in casual. You got to be like the most extreme of losers to cheat in casual. I'm just throwing that out there. But while there are still cheaters there, the likelihood of running into them is way less, because there's so many bots in the game, and typically it's a mode that's going to appeal more to players who aren't like that, right? Who aren't trying to cheat. So between the insane skill-based and the insane cheating situation going on in standard Warzone, how much of that is impacting players diverting their gameplay, even if they're not a big solos player or a quads player, into casual, just simply to avoid the negative experiences of COD? I think that has to be a big factor when it comes to the general success of casuals so far. And when we talk about that Modern Warzone tweet from earlier, them leaning heavily into this, if they continue to see this data is going so well for casuals and they go this route, then I feel like they absolutely could end up with a situation where everything is casuals, whether you're playing solos, duos, trios, quads, whatever. It's all in a casual experience. They don't call it that anymore, though, just because that would be the standard gameplay. And then if you wanted to play 150 real players, you'd have to jump into ranked. So it's either you're playing bots and the gameplay experience is very basic, or you're sweating like crazy playing like it's World Champs, World Series of Warzone in ranked play, right? Where it's extremely prone to cheaters and there's no real middle ground there. That would be, I think, a misstep in COD's decision making, but also one that I feel like is very possible given the fact that they're almost in a confirmation bias in a sense, because of these all these other factors in game that we've talked about with how successful casuals has been. I do think it's also a little weird how in their original breakdown and reasoning behind removing solos and adjusting things, they said that they want to limit things to a certain extent. They want to offer the player base the best experience they can have regardless of what mode they're looking to play, but they have to keep things in check because of matchmaking times mode salad, as they've referred to in the past, where there's just too many selections on the screen. You have solos, duos, trios on one map, and then trios, quads, and duos on another, and then ranked, and then casual, then an LTM, and then plunder, and all this other stuff, right? When your player base is dwindling because the state of COD right now is just kind of in the gutter because of decision making and bugs and glitches, right? When the player base is smaller and you have all these playlist options, you're going to split them all up here and there, and then it's going to take longer to find a match. The ping is going to be worse. The connection is going to not feel as good. Like, it's just diminishing the experience, right? They say that they're worried about that mode salad situation. For one, if you just focused up and really attacked the issues of this game, the servers, the anti-cheat, the bugs, and the glitches, the player base would rise and you wouldn't have that concern be as large. But also, they're not helping themselves in that sense, because we have seen these playlists split up oddly throughout the year where they offer a ton and then they double down on it with situations like ranked play. They say that they didn't want to have standard solos and then casual solos going at once for that first little while because they didn't want to, split the player base between the two too much. But then you have ranked, which is by far the minority when it comes to Warzone players. That's got to have the smallest player base because that's the least enticing for the casual audience, right? Ranked play. But then you offer Battle Royale ranked play and Resurgence ranked play at the same time, further splitting in the already minority player base there up even more. That's offering a mode salad situation where both of those, playlists are going to have that awkward queue time, the much slower wait times there, unfortunately. On top of then also that taking players out of standard gameplay, whether it be normal Battle Royale or normal Resurgence or casuals, to go into ranked too. So they're still doing the mode salad just in different ways while saying, hey, we don't want to necessarily do that all the time. Here's more of it, right? So the entire situation is strange because of their reasoning behind it and how it can be skewed and how it can be looked at in a strange way, and then what it could potentially mean going forward if the trends continue the way they have so far. So the playlist situation and the availability here is certainly concerning in my opinion. If you're a big casual fan, it's probably not as concerning for you. If you're someone who does enjoy that more just standard battle royale experience though, player versus player action, it is something I feel like we have to keep our eye on now because of their statements that they've given. Obviously, as they do give us more information, they said that they would. We'll be covering that right as it happens. So if you want to stay in the know with that alongside everything else going on in COD, be sure to hit that subscribe button, turn on those post notifications, and if you enjoyed this video, a like rating is always seriously appreciated as well. But once again, thank you so much for tuning in, and until next time, take it easy, have an awesome rest of your day, and I'll catch you later. Peace out.